In this video, I'm going to show you how to do this really awesome camera stabilized head bobbing effect inside of Adobe After Effects. So let's get into it. Now, before we jump into Adobe After Effects, we first just need to make sure that we've got some footage. And in order to capture this footage, you just want to put your phone or your camera onto a tripod, jump in front of the camera, and then you want to stand in your position. Don't move side to side, just bob up and down. Now, essentially what we are going to do with this footage is we're going to stabilize the footage, but we're going to use the eye as the tracking point. So we're going to stabilize the face in the center of the frame, which means the background is going to be moving rather than the person. It's a really cool and interesting effect. You just have to make sure that you've got static footage of somebody bobbing up and down. And once you've got that, you could drop this into Adobe After Effects and we can begin the process of turning this into this really awesome effect. So as you can see, I've got this footage of me bobbing up and down on the timeline. So in order to do this effect, first of all, we want to enable the tracker window. So if you can't see this window, go into window and make sure tracker has a tick next to it. Then with that enabled, you just want to select the video, scroll back to the very beginning. Then you want to select stabilize motion. Then we're just going to move this tracking point over either your eye or your nostril. It's completely up to you, but you want to make sure that you don't change. So set it to something now and then don't change it. And then from there, once you've selected your point, so I'm going to go for the nostril in this point, you just want to either press play, or if it flies all over the place like it is in my example, you want to select the analyze one frame forward button and then move that back to where it should be. And you want to keep repeating this process over and over again until that tracks. So as you can see, it's going through a phase of not too much movement so that is staying put, but as soon as I start moving again, that starts moving again. So you just want to go through frame by frame and make sure that this sticks to where it should stick to. Now, I must say the reason why I'm having this problem in my example is because I filmed this footage on a phone. So as you can see, the quality is not incredible and I have no idea what the shutter speed was set to in the phone. So if you were shooting this yourself, I would definitely recommend using a proper camera. So use a digital SLR or a cinema camera if you have access to one. And then set the shutter speed to 1/100 rather than 1/50. Why? You'll have less motion blur in the frame, and when you have less motion blur in the frame, that means there's going to be less blurriness, and that means this is going to track perfectly. So you won't have to go through this motion of going through frame by frame to make sure you get this effect perfectly set up. Unfortunately though, because I did film this on my phone, I've got to go through this frame by frame. So learn from my mistake and film your footage with your camera at a higher shutter speed rather than just using your phone. If you do only have a phone though, then that's completely fine. You just have to go the slightly longer way about this and track every single frame individually. And there you go. You can see I've done about 3 seconds. So I'm just going to leave it there in my example. But of course, if you've got a 5-second clip or a 10-second clip that you want to do this effect to, then go through the motion of completing this until the very end. But I think that is enough to demonstrate this technique. So what I'm going to do from here is I'm just going to go into edit target and make sure the target is the footage. Then I will select apply and I want to make sure that this is Y only. So X is left to right and Y is up and down. So we'll select Y only because I'm moving up and down. We'll press OK, and now when we play this back, you'll notice the footage is stabilized to my face. Of course though, at the moment though, you can see the edges of the frame. So there's 2 ways of fixing that. We can either press S on the keyboard to load scale and zoom in, and you can see it's going to fix it like that. Or alternatively, if you go into effects and presets and you search for motion tile, you can drop motion tile on and select the output width to 300, the output height to 300, and select mirror edges. And as you can see, it's just going to mirror the edges. It's going to mirror the part of the frame at the top and the bottom. So if we turn motion tile off, we'll turn that off for now. We'll go through to an extreme example. So here you go, you can see the top of the frame. If I turn motion tile back on, you can see it's mirrored the top of the frame. And it's obvious when you look at it in an individual frame, but when the video is playing and you're focused on the person in the middle of the frame, it's very difficult to notice that unless you're looking out for it. So if we render this out and we play this back, you'll notice you've got this really awesome face tracked effect now completed inside of Adobe After Effects. Of course, if you wanted to, you could now go ahead and turn the motion blur on, so you can activate the motion blur on this layer. Make sure the motion blur is activated here, and every time the camera bobs up or down, there'll just be a little bit of motion blur added into the frame. You don't have to do this, but it does help to hide some of this going on up here if you wanted that. So you can see this is with the motion blur, and then if we turn this off, this is without. And there you go. Thank you ever so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate your support, and hopefully I will see you on the next video. See you there.